Welcome to The Explainer. So, we're always told to just work harder, right? But what if that's actually terrible advice? Today, we're going to break down why the hardest workers don't always get rich and how one single overlooked mistake can completely sabotage everything you're working for. This quote right here, it perfectly nails the big idea we're digging into. A tiny early mistake can have absolutely massive consequences later on. And to really see this in action, let's imagine we're building something together, a giant skyscraper. Let's do this. Okay, so picture it in your mind. A massive, gleaming 40-story skyscraper. It's a symbol of success, right? Now, I want you to zoom all the way in, right down to its base, to something you can barely even see. Just one. A single, tiny little crack, right at the very beginning of this whole massive project. It's so small you'd probably miss it. So what's the big deal? What could possibly be the consequence all the way up on the 40th floor? Yeah, total structural failure. That tiny little crack, it doesn't just stay small. Its impact multiplies with every single floor you add, creating more and more instability until the whole thing is ready to collapse. And this is the perfect picture of the principle we are unpacking today. So this idea goes way beyond just building things. It's a fundamental rule for success in almost anything. It tells us that the question isn't if you should work hard, but where you should aim that hard work to get the most leverage. So how do successful people actually do this? You know, there's this myth that wildly successful people have some kind of secret playbook, right? For marketing, for sales, for hiring. But the reality is they often use the exact same tools as everyone else. The real difference maker is their intense, obsessive focus on a few key foundational moments. And this leads us to this really powerful idea called strategic perfectionism. Look, the goal is not to be a paranoid perfectionist 24/7. I mean, that would just lead to total burnout. The idea is to be a perfectionist only when it matters most, right at the very beginning. Let's jump back to our skyscraper for a second. You have to be an absolute paranoid perfectionist when you're working on that foundation. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? It's got to be perfect for the building to be stable. But, and this is key, it also applies to the first couple of floors. Why? Because that's what everyone sees. It's what they touch, what they feel, and it sets the entire standard, the perceived quality for the whole building. Okay, so let's take this idea and apply it to a real-world business. What is the foundation for a company? What are the parts that you, as a founder or a leader, have to obsess over to the point of paranoia? According to the source, these are the 5 non-negotiable pillars. Figuring out what success actually looks like, getting the absolute right people on the bus, hammering out a crystal clear mission, building the company culture from day one, and setting up those first crucial relationships. Get these right, and you've built a foundation of solid rock. And here's the beautiful part. Once those pillars are perfectly, and I mean perfectly, in place, you can start to let go. You can empower your team to build the rest of the skyscraper, delegating more and more as you grow, because you are totally confident that the strong base you built can support anything. Now, what's really fascinating is how all this intense, foundational work is actually seen from the outside. There's a really interesting paradox at play here. So an outsider might look at the final 40-story building and say, wow, your team did like 80% of the work. They're the ones who built most of the floors, right? And you know what? From a certain point of view, they're absolutely right. But here's what they miss. Within your 20% of the project, that foundational work at the very, very beginning, you were operating at 100% capacity. Your effort was total. That intense initial burst of hard work is the hidden part that made the other 80% even possible in the first place. So you see, the answer isn't don't work hard. Of course not. The answer is to work with an extreme, almost paranoid focus on the things that truly matter, those key foundational points. And once those are perfect, you can trust your team, your partners, and your systems to handle the rest. So as we wrap this up, I want you to think about your own skyscraper. Maybe it's a project you're on. Maybe it's your career path or your entire business. Are you spreading your effort evenly across all 40 floors? Or are you giving 100% obsessive focus to building a perfect, unbreakable foundation? Because that choice right there, that might just be the difference between success and catastrophe.